Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerds on the Run. I have finally overcome some of my severe technological limitations to try to practice using my new microphone. So I don't know, if you don't like it in the shot, I can maybe arrange it a little bit different. If you do like it in the shot, I think it's going to help because then it's at least picking me up clearly and maybe not picking up some of this other idle chatter that's been in my environment. I don't have a studio. I have to record from my home. So this is going to be a little bit of a free-form podcast on a few things rather than try to pump out a specific episode on all the different trailers that have been dropping in the last week or so, because there have been a ton. I want to focus on three specifically in this podcast. This is going to be kind of our female lead theme podcast, because we're going to be talking about Black Widow, we're going to be talking about Mulan, we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman. So let's start with the Black Widow trailer. That was the one I saw first. I think that was the one that dropped first. Marvel is... they deserve some criticism because they do pump out movies that are pretty formulaic and things like that. I certainly wasn't looking for a movie like Black Widow. I wasn't looking for a movie to be in the past. I kind of want to see what's next. I want to see if they can keep this sort of powerful storytelling going forward. I will say, though, I was more impressed than I had any business being by this trailer, because not only did it really hit some of those Winter Soldier-y notes with just kind of the straight espionage film, but it did sort of capture an interesting part of her history that I maybe wasn't sure about. I don't know if I have the confidence in Disney for them to be making this kind of movie. Leading up to Avengers 1, before Black Widow had much characterization at all, Red in her ledger was kind of the whole thing. And I don't know if Disney can do the whole Red in your ledger, showing what that red is. It would be really cool. I think this movie would need to be in that sort of rated R territory for it to succeed in that way. But I hope that in a PG-13 scope, they can really put the character through her paces, and we'll see. I don't know that I was looking for Natasha Romanoff to get more story. They did give her a final conclusion in Endgame that was fairly embarrassing, if I'm honest, just because it was a powerful move, it was a powerful situation. What her and Barton's character went through, that was an interesting match to set them to. When they had to get the Soul Stone. But this is spoilers for stuff in Endgame, by the way. They killed her off and totally glossed over any kind of, there was maybe a tear on Barton's cheek, which could have been for any reason. There was a brief exchange between Barton and Wanda about their respective losses of Natasha and of Vision. That was it. It was a really throwaway thing. It was a really packed movie, so I think I would have been unhappy no matter what they did with it, if I'm honest. But we're getting more story for Natasha. They don't look, if they did any goofy de-aging stuff, it's not apparent. I don't think they need to really. Scarlett Johansson is a super awesome actress. She's very talented, and I think brings a lot to the character. Certainly a lot more character than she was given credit for originally. For those of us that remember, her introduction to the Marvel universe has not aged super well. She's she was a body in a skin suit that was just killing dudes with her crotch by scissoring their heads and snapping necks or whatever she was doing. So she's brought so much more to the character. She certainly has, far and above, she has the chops to do it. So I really hope that this storytelling could be really cool. I will say, honestly, the thing that got me the most, the music in that trailer just slaps, man. Oh my goodness. Out of all of the music, I was impressed by the music, especially in all three trailers that I'm covering in today's podcast. But man, oh man, the Black Widow music really is a slapper. So Black Widow trailer looked cool, looks interesting, definitely has the espionage vibe. I'm gonna try to just ride with it, and who knows, maybe she could kind of get a more satisfying rap if they do some kind of time jumping where they're showing her history and maybe why it's meaningful to her end and kind of what happens as a result of her being gone. We'll see. As far as the Wonder Woman trailer goes, man, I was just blown away by that. I've been very openly critical of because they don't know what they're doing. They can't decide if they want a contiguous universe or not. They've just made such messy movies through and through time and again. And yet Wonder Woman on her own is easily, and I think for many people, my favorite DC movie. But it's also one of my favorite superhero movies, just as far as characters go and things like that. There are some weak characters in the first one, a little bit cardboard, two-dimensional characters, but her character's interesting, and based on what just little bit they give in the trailer for Wonder Woman 1984, it does seem like they're going to do just what I was talking about. My hope is for Black Widow that they're showing a little bit more of her history on Paradise Island, Themyscira. If that's I don't read the comics for DC, so I'm sorry if I didn't say that right. But, I think that could give some significance to her history, especially being such a slow aging character. And I do wish they didn't give quite as much about the plot away as they did even. I hope there's more to learn mystery-wise. So I won't go too far into that in case you are avoiding trailers and stuff like that. But I do wish they didn't quite go into some of the certain plot points as much. It could have been a good surprise for the audience. But they got to sell seats. So the thing I really want to highlight for Wonder Woman 1984 is this, I won't say orchestral, but there was a instrumental remix of Blue Monday, and oh my goodness. I mean, actually, you know what? I even just in the 5 minutes or 2 minutes that since I was talking about Black Widow, I think I've already maybe even changed my mind which music was more impressive. They don't need to be compared. That's one of my favorite jams anyway, but in this particular context, seeing her golden eagle armor and stuff like that, with the beats thumping, that trailer was cut together so well and super impressive. And Gal Gadot is just one of the best around as far as superheroes. And she's just one of those people. She's a very sweet and good person in real life. She's so she's she's got it all. She's a badass. She's a babe. She's also like one of the more capable actress out of either category in the DC lineup. So she is bringing the whole package to this movie, and I'm really hopeful that they kind of just try not to get too tangled up in the weeds with, how connected it is to DC or Justice League or what the next Superman thing is going to be, what the next Batman thing is going to be. If they just kind of coast away from that, focus on her history, on her lore, on sort of the deific, supernatural part of DC, and kind of just go down that route, I think they'll be just fine. So I'm really hopeful for Wonder Woman 1984. I think it's going to be probably one of my favorite superhero movies of the year, even against some of the Marvel movies that are coming up. Then we have Mulan. Mulan is definitely doing the Disney treatment, the Disney live action treatment that we've seen from a couple of the other productions. It doesn't look like it's staying a musical, which I think thematically it's a war picture essentially, so I think it works well. And then they've also done some stuff where they try to add some characters and things. Mulan was always magical, and so with Mushu and everything, so they do still have like a magic element. There's sort of this evil witch character that's kind of one of the generals or one of the right hand people of the villain, whose name is escaping me right now. But they put together a interesting plot where it looks like rather than kind of sneaking off to be. So this is spoilers for Mulan, I guess. I'm not protecting anybody for spoilers for a movie that old, but they looks like they're putting something together where rather than sneaking to because she doesn't want just the life of a woman. It looks like her father is trying to do his duty to be in the war, and similar to the other story, she's worried about him. She doesn't want anything to happen to him. But they kind of go into looks like a little bit more intrigue where he's got some old injuries and probably shouldn't be in the war, but there's kind of a policy that he has to be, and so kind of a draft, but like there's like this one person per household must participate kind of thing is how the trailer pitches it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about what this movie could be. I'm curious what the film industry and how it is in China and some of the restrictions that China has. I hope this is a movie that can be proud of. There's certainly a lot of Chinese stars in this movie, a ton. I mean, just a ton. So I hope this is a movie they can be proud of and not censor too much over there. Lucky for me, I don't live there. I won't have to know what context the movie comes out in there. But it looks, at least from PLA and the States version of it, it looks like it's going to be a movie that does have some commentary in it about, these sort of policies that China puts out to have one person from each household follow a certain governmental rule. It does look like it will have a lot of the same themes that the original Mulan explored with, bringing honor to your family and, being judged based on your own merits rather than based off of gender and things like that. It is funny because obviously the character in the cartoon it's easy to make a cartoon slightly more androgynous. And even though it would be believable that Ping is just this meeker soldier, in the cartoon it does sell a little bit more because everybody's so caricature-y. In a more realistic environment, I apologize that I didn't double check the actress's name that plays Huan Mulan in this version of it, but she doesn't look like a dude at any point, even a little bit. So how anybody buys it, I don't know. But whatever, that's okay. I can suspend my disbelief for that to be an action movie that we get to see some magic, some action. I'm curious whether Mushu's actually going to be in the movie, because that would be a selling point for kids, and he hasn't been in any of the promotional material that I'm aware of. But this witch that's a bad guy is still magical. She can transform into a hawk or a snake or whatever the heck. So I'm really, really happy that 2 out of these 3 movies are Disney properties, but I'm happy that we have some good female leads coming up in movies. I don't want this to become too negative of a piece, but obviously we could talk quite a long time about how females are represented sort of quite half-assed in a lot of media, and are quite often written by men and things like that. And not to say all these projects are exempt from those concerns, but they're certainly a step in the right direction, and I'm glad they're all coming out in relatively quick succession, because there's a lot of fun to be had, I think, with more female leads, more female representation, representation of different nationalities and stuff in those movies. So I'm really, really happy to see what these movies are bringing, and I'm thinking that by the time they're all out, we'll get to see maybe it'll be good positive momentum that we'll get to see more female leads in action movies, or that it's a female lead isn't even a statement that the movie's making, just that the movie is good and it happens to be starring a woman, or women are writing the women on screen, so it's more in touch and things like that, right? So I hope, let me know if you all have any thoughts about Mulan's trailer that came out, if you have any thoughts about the Black Widow trailer that came out, or about the Wonder Woman 84 trailer. I think you'll agree with me that the music is cut together really super well in all of these movies, certainly in the trailers, and these are going to be some pretty hot pictures for 2020. If you do have any questions about these movies, let me know in the comments below. Certainly, I'm not an insider or anything, but if you want to spark any discussion or conversation, I'd love to talk, because these movies are ones I'm going to have on my radar up until the night before they're out. This has been Andy with Nerds on the Run, kind of our informal podcast that we're trying to put together here and there. Hopefully my podcast mates will be around for the next one. Unfortunately, just my recording schedule right now permits me to just do these when I can, so I'm getting these ones in while they're fresh in my mind. I hope y'all are having a great day. If you do celebrate any holidays around this time of year, please do so safely and have fun. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.